So to Mr. Sandra, please start the opening. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Indra. Okay, thank you for audience and VIP guests, Mr. Indra, Ulena. Thank you for come this today to BISCOM event. The power of big data to increase yourself. Thank you for the speaker, Mr. Martin. Thank you for come, Mr. Billy from Kopera, Mr. Amin from Sonar, and the moderator, Mr. Raifo. Thank you. Willing to come to share their knowledge. I really appreciate that. Okay. About BISCOM. What is a BISCOM? BISCOM is aggregator platform for business. So our vision is leveling up and connecting people. Our mission, collaborate, partnership, and we build a engine. Our engine is a market aggregator. And next, we choose this topic about big data because big data really important nowadays. Hopefully, through this event, you can learn more and make good and valuable knowledge that you can apply in your business. Also, please connect and mingle each other after event. Don't forget to visiting to our portal like One Academy and Goers, Sonar, Kopera, Algorithma, and HartLogic. I'm Sandra as a CEO, and please enjoy this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sandra, for your opening speech. Please, to Mr. Nanyoko to moderate this presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you everybody for coming. I believe I have a presentation to show. Just want to make a quick introduction of what Algorithma does. So we're a data science school. We train people to be able to read and mengolah data to make sure that they can visualize the data and also automate and create prediction from the data that companies already have. So our vision is to democratize data science to make sure that we build the internal capability of companies as well as the public in this case. Why do we need data science capability? It's because right now, maybe you can go down. Oh, sorry. Before that, I want to give a bit of background of who we are. Can we go down? So inside the company itself, the investors are Ibu Mari Pangestu, Greg as well, who is the commissioner at General Insurance, Pak Toto Sugiri, and myself and Samuel are the co-founders. Samuel himself has a big background as a data scientist from his previous company at Hyper Group, which was recently sold to Sega. So yeah, this is why we need data science because as you can see, software is eating the world. Can you go down? By 2016, last year, as you can see, the top 5 companies in S&P 500 are the software companies, and 52% of the company in S&P 500 dari tahun 2000 is already bankrupt. So there's a big change that's going on, and the technological change keeps on going and becoming faster and faster. This is essentially the projection by 2020. 1.2 trillion US dollar will be stolen in terms of market share by insights-driven company. That means company that really utilize data very heavily and gain insights from that, who would be able to make insightful decisions based on data and numbers, right? Rather than just on gut feeling or experience or intuition. Back then, like, we can deal with like small numbers and small variable Excel spreadsheet. You can handle those to make a report and decision making, right? But right now you're dealing with big data, like a lot of variables. So there needs to be a new approach on this, right? Which is what we're actually trying to build the capability. Continue. So data science has very vast areas of application. Finance, telco, and so forth. And telco has the most data right now with 200 plus million people using it, as well as financial sector, which Julo would be able to testify to that. Continue. So is the workforce ready? The problem right now adalah workforce in this case. Apakah kita ada data scientist yang cukup di Indonesia untuk di hire? And kita sekarang ada kesulitan di sana. As you can see, Gojek, Tokopedia, all the big unicorns that you can see, data scientist itu berada di luar negeri semuanya, di Singapura, because they cannot find one in Indonesia. And kesulitan sekali. It is also a matter of education as well ya. Banyak kali mungkin dari government haven't really been investing so much into mathematics, science, and so forth. Banyak kan ngambilnya, kalau Pak Mama diajak ngomong kan udah ngambil bisnis saja, semua orang pada ngambilnya bisnis. So not a lot of people are taking technical skills in this case. So we're trying to help bridge the gap right now between the supply and the demand. How we do that is by building a complete support system. So if you go down. So we use real-world data and applicable skills. We really focus on that to make sure that the skills that you learn at our school itu benar-benar applicable to the companies that you're going to be working on. Atau if we train your company, we use your data set, of course dummy, and we build models, algorithm, and so forth based on the data that you have. So this is the previous clients that we have trained. Actually, Bank Sinamas next week we're training them as well. But a couple of weeks ago we trained Bank BTPN as well on their team. Continue, please. So the general content of our syllabus is essentially two things, two big areas: specialization in data visualization, which is like creating interactive dashboard or creating like word mapping and so forth. And more, and machine learning, which is essentially creating prediction and classifying your data. For example, like, is this an image data? What is this image? For example, like understanding what the image is. That's just some of the applicable examples that I can give you. Or regression, which is understanding from the past data that you have, how can I predict the future from that? So that's us, Algorithma. I'm going to pass this along to the next speaker who will present about their company. Who would that be? Martin?
Thank you. Could you switch the slides? Maybe we can zoom in a little bit. So, good morning. My name is Martijn. I'm from the Netherlands, but I've been living and working in Indonesia, Jakarta, for around 5 years now. I am the head of analytics at Julo, and we are a financial technology startup based in Jakarta. We started this company in January of this year, so we're still fairly new. I'm just going to highlight some of the things that we do as a company and how we utilize big data, data science, and some of these algorithms that were just explained by the previous speaker. Just to highlight a little bit about what I'll talk about. So briefly, what is Julo? We use data science or machine learning based solutions to solve social financial problems in Indonesia. As I said, we are a fintech. Fintech means financial technology. So we both focus on the financial side of things. We offer financial products and on the technology side of things. So half of our team is actually developers, software developers, data scientists, Android developers who develop technology in this space. And the two things are very closely aligned. So we serve these financial products utilizing this technology. And why do we do that? Well, because it offers a bunch of new opportunities. It opens up sort of a new market space, a new type of customer for us. And at the same time, because we're leveraging technology, it becomes much easier to scale these businesses. And I'll go into that in a little bit as well. Like I said, we are based in Jakarta. It's an Indonesian company, but we have a very global team. Our founders were US educated and German educated, although they are actually Indonesian. And right now we have around a team of around 50 people, a pretty diverse group. So myself from the Netherlands, we have people from Finland, we have people in India, people from India who have joined us here. And we're continuing to grow in this space as well. So just briefly to sort of highlight the core problem that we're trying to address here. So in Indonesia, there's around 100 million people who are what we call unbanked. So they do not have access to traditional ways of credit, even though they might want to go to a bank or require money to invest into a business or to pay for tuition for their children or for their own educations. They are not able to step to these formal financial institutions to get credit. And why is that? Well, because they don't have sort of the financial track record for banks to underwrite them using traditional means. They don't have previous sort of credit cards. They don't have maybe bank accounts that can be leveraged. They don't have a whole lot of assets. Maybe their jobs are rapidly changing, or maybe they are freelancers, or maybe they own, they're very active in this sort of informal economy that we have here. All of these factors, cannot be handled by sort of traditional ways of underwriting people for credit. And due to that, we have in Indonesia, we have around 80 billion US dollars unmet demand for credit. So that's a huge market opportunity that the current banks and financial institutions cannot tap into. And we're trying to tap into that. So what do these people do? Because people still need credit. People still want to buy a new house or a car or something like that. What do they do? And what we see is sort of KPMG study that was performed 2 years ago or so here in Indonesia, is you see that only 1.3% of the population has actually a credit card. The rest does not. And from the people that actually borrow money, which is still a very high amount of people, around 40% do that by reaching out to friends and family. And sometimes that goes well, and sometimes it doesn't go well. Unfortunately, by having sort of a debt with your family member or your friend, that puts stress on that relationship. There's a burden there. There's a lot of problems that may arise from this. It's unregulated. So it's definitely not in the interest of any of the parties to do it that way, but it's out of necessity. The other option that people have is to go to loan sharks. So there is, more, let's say, informal financial institutions that you can reach out to get credit, but often at a very high price. So interest rates that are extremely high. People who don't understand this type of, what that means, they might actually overburden themselves with more debt and, get in sort of a negative spiral. So neither of these things are really sustainable, and we are trying to provide an alternative to this problem. And as you see here, so the financial product that we offer right now is, we actually have two product lines. One is a 3 to 6 month loan of around 5 to 8 million rupiah, sometimes up to 10. And the other product that we offer is a 1 million rupiah for 1 month duration. And we're not the only ones who are doing this right now. There's probably around 50 other fintech startups in Indonesia that are focusing on this, probably more. But the one thing that makes us stand out is that we try and be extremely reasonable and affordable. So the interest rates that we offer are around 3 to 5%, depending on your risk profile, which makes us pretty comparable to traditional credit cards type of loans. And as you can see in this graph as well, so the loan sharks that I talked about earlier, they typically charge up to, for let's say our 1 month product that we have, they would offer as well, but for 30% interest rate, so 1% per day, whereas for us it's 3 to 5% on the month. Yes, next slide. So how does this work? So we have an Android app that you can go and download from the App Store, from the Play Store, and this is sort of the front end to which you apply for the loan. So we don't deal with any sort of other way of registering. You can just download this app, fill it out, and within 15 minutes or so, you would have your application ready. And we do sort of same-day delivery and processing. So by the end of the day, you would actually know and have this money into your account if you qualify. And there's several advantages, additional advantages to using an app in this case to do that. One is obviously ease of use, like I just explained. The other one is that we can actually leverage some of the data that are on these devices. And this is kind of where the trick comes in. Which is that, like I mentioned before, traditionally banks and financial institutions look at things like what kind of credit history do you have? Have you paid your bills on time, your utility bills, those kind of things? Have you defaulted in the past? Have you been rejected in the past? Those kind of things. But if you've never had a loan, you won't have that data. So then what? So what we do, the assumption is this. Everyone now has a mobile device, and this mobile device, you use it day to day. And there's a lot of data points on there that indicate what kind of person you are and what kind of risk profile you are. Are you very busy? I don't know, is your week scheduled with meetings around town? Do you travel frequently? Do you top up your phone bill on time every single month at the same time, or is it very sporadically? There's a lot of data there that you can consider to develop a risk profile, and that's what we're doing. So some of these alternative data sources that we're looking into is, for instance, usage history, like what I mentioned. How much data do you actually consume on your device on a monthly basis? How much do you typically top up? Are you sort of a high spender, yes or no? Is this a stable pattern, yes or no? We look at geolocation, so the moment that you actually submit this app, we also ping into the GPS, are you actually located now where you say you are? And that helps us verify where you live or where you work. Navigational data is not GPS, it's actually what it means is we keep track of how people fill out the application form. So by actually looking how much time someone might spend on terms and conditions pages, how often they scroll back and forth or maybe make alterations on their application, is actually pretty telling of how maybe risky someone is. If you rush through this application very quickly, that could be a negative sign. If you take very long, that could also be a negative sign, but somewhere in between is sort of the sweet spot of the typical customer that we expect. In addition to this sort of data, we offer a way for customers to boost their credit score. So we consider all of this data, and that the output of that will be a credit score for this particular person. And if that's not enough, you can actually boost that by volunteering more data. So you could sign into your LinkedIn or to your Facebook, and then you could consider that data into the credit score, potentially improving it. Same with other social media, your Twitter or your Instagram. Or your e-commerce history, for instance, is a pretty good proxy for your kind of spending behavior that you have. And then how do we use this data then? So like I said before, we use machine learning models. So a machine learning model really, we feed in a bunch of these data input variables, and then we have different algorithms that help us determine, to predict, is this person going to pay back their loan, yes or no? Are they going to default, yes or no? So that's the credit scoring element here that we do. But we do much more than that. We also we use this data to determine fraud patterns, for instance. How likely is this person to commit fraud in the near future? But also the opposite of that. How loyal is this person, and how can we sort of see the sort of positive behavior that they may have? And then we can reward that. So maybe in the next, they completed the loan cycle, and knowing that they performed well and that they're loyal with us, we can actually offer them a much better product in the future at a much more competitive interest rate with a better credit risk score. Under the hood, we use machine learning to deal with sort of a lot of unstructured data. We get a lot of text data from these social media sources, for example. We need to filter through that, so we have our own spam filters that we develop with different technologies. We also leverage analytics and machine learning and predictive analytics to help us in the collections process. So if someone actually didn't pay back their loan, okay, now what? This is an unsecured product, so there's no way for us to retrieve this. So we have to be very, very clever on basically seeing, okay, with this percentage of likelihood, we see that this person might actually default on the next payment. What can we do now in a collections process to prevent that? I'm not sure how tech savvy the people are in this room, but this is one of the slides of our technology stack. I won't spend too much detail on it, but one of the things that I want to mention here is that we try and leverage as much as possible open source technology. So this means it's freely available. It also means that the development of these products is sort of community driven. Anyone can contribute to these type of products, which tends to make it quite secure and sort of mature in processes, but it helps us really in keeping costs low while scaling up quickly. Next slide, please. In terms of big data and machine learning, we have a pretty large sort of big data architecture stack of different technologies. And really the main reason for having so many of these is that every single technology sort of depends on the type of data, the source of data that you're working with. You know, this could be very simple transactional data that we use with a simple Postgres database or SQL database. But we also deal, like I mentioned before, with unstructured data, text data, which is a lot more, larger in size, and therefore we leverage different technologies to utilize that. The other consideration there is the use case. How are we actually going to use this data? Do we query this every single day? Is this, is this real time or not? Can we do this in batches over time? All of that sort of affects how we choose our technologies. On the right side is some of the algorithms that we consider. So we consider ourselves algorithm agnostic. So these are machine learning algorithms. Really, everything that we can find in the data science toolkit that may actually prove of value to us, we try it and we use it. And that's in terms of algorithms, in terms of technology, whatever. So we have our analytics team right now is around 6 guys. We are constantly experimenting with these kind of technologies and trying to boost the underlying algorithms' performance. In terms of where we are now, like I mentioned, we have this short-term loan, so I converted it into US dollars here. And then this longer-term loan, which is this installment cash loan. But we're trying to constantly innovate and expand on our product line. The advantage of leveraging big data and collecting so much data on our customers is also that we can offer these people new sort of products. So some of the things that we're now looking into is actually lines of credit, for instance. Some of our customers who have been very loyal, gone through various sort of loan cycles with us successfully, well, we can offer them a line of credit because we feel pretty confident about these people. So it's a premium product. On top of that, we are also looking at sort of different verticals and, for instance, automobile loans, sort of larger loan size, ticket size on a very specific product. Refinancing, student loans is something that we're looking into, helping people pay for their tuitions. In this case, the user segment is slightly different. We're looking to partner with a lot of financial institutions actually in offering sort of, collaborating on specific loans. A lot of the financial institutions are very interested in what we do because of the alternative way that we underwrite people. They may want to also get access to this credit score on specific customers. For instance, right now the only way for a newcomer or a bank or whatever to come in and assess whether someone who applies for a loan is, good or not, is through BI checking. But BI checking, sort of the database is pretty small because of this problem of so few Indonesians actually using formal financial credits products. So we are sort of an alternative to that. And the final one is we're looking into collaborating with bigger sort of enterprises on payroll loans. So what we see in Indonesia in particular is that there's a lot of companies who have budget set aside to actually offer sort of advances on payday, on payroll. And that's a risk for the business, and it's really an unnecessary thing. I think they could use that money much better for the actual business. So we can collaborate with these enterprises in offering much more affordable loan products. In terms of the leadership team, there's 4 of us. The 3 gentlemen at the beginning are all Indonesian. Adri is worked in the U.S., studied and worked in the U.S. for over 20 years. Was with Capital One, with eBay, and more recently with Signify, which is a very similar sort of company to what Julo is now. Hans is worked for Mozilla and Siemens, and worked for 8 years at Splunk, another sort of big data company. And Victor was also at Sony and Siemens, and worked for Gracenote, which was another big data startup. All of these guys actually came back about a year ago from Silicon Valley to get started on this startup here in Jakarta. And I got on board very briefly after. So we are currently, like I said, we started in January of this year. We're still in the seed round of the startup sort of life cycle. We have several investors from Indonesia and abroad. Sky Star Capital is sort of our main investor here, but East Ventures and Convergence are also included there, and we have some private investment too. Yeah, so that's about it. What about Julo and what we do? And so do we do questions now, or what is later on? Okay, all right. Well, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you. We have a presentation from Cofera.
Yeah. Good afternoon all. I would like to say thanks to from Sandra to invite me and present about Cofera and sharing about big data and machine learning about Cofera. And basically, the topic of discussions today that I will deliver to you is turning big data into a gold mine. And I'll be talking more about the role of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and how we develop based on those 2 modules and turn it into a world-class marketing automation platform. So basically, Cofera itself was launched last year, and we are currently operate as the #1 marketing automation platform in Southeast Asia. And right now, we are handling more than 13,000 accounts within our portfolio, and on the year-to-date advertising spend that we have been managing so far is almost $4 million, which is more than 3 million. And basically, we understand that there is a huge problem that is happening in the business itself that being categorized into 2 segments. The first one would be for those target markets that are operating as the SMEs. They have understood that by exploring digital marketing, it will enable them to analyze the data and operate with a budget that is suitable within their means. However, the problems that we see on the market is those SMEs have the basic understanding about the importance of advertising through digital marketing and digital media. However, the only thing that they are lacking of is the lack of technological and advanced knowledge on how to operate in digital marketing. And second part would be, since they have that limited knowledge, they would be thinking of appointing an agency to help them running their digital marketing campaign. However, since they have limited budget to operate with the digital marketing, it would be very difficult for those segments to find digital marketing that will be able and willing to help with their digital marketing campaign. So with this problem itself, we understand that there is a huge opportunity for us to provide the automation opportunity. Therefore, we are acting as a digital marketing enabler platform, which we are also targeting towards the SMEs market. And the second problem that we see on the market is on the enterprise and the large corporate and enterprise level, in which they have the advanced knowledge about running digital marketing. However, the problems that they are facing is they have problems in managing the big data, and not only in managing the big data that they face a huge problems is that they have problems in analyzing the big data, because basically it's quite difficult for anybody to analyze terabytes of data for a digital marketing campaign. And based on the size of data itself, it shows that it's a huge and enormous data in which you cannot simply rely upon the humans to analyze those huge numbers of data. Basically, you need the assistance of a robot or an AI, basically, which understands the logic of the best practice campaign that should be implemented based on the data that you have collected. And therefore, since managing big data is just a painful process and time-consuming, therefore we understand that by introducing the automation platform for the large and enterprise clients will enable them to save time and at the same time increase the performance of the marketing campaign based on the data that they have collected. And as I said, the available options, one of them is by appointing the agencies. However, appointing agencies might not be the best solution for any type of business, simply because it would be very difficult for you to scale up your campaign, because the agencies will be demanding for you to increase your campaign budget in order for the agencies to help you to scale up the campaign. However, not everybody will be able the capacity to increase the marketing budget, and therefore they will be in a position where they are not able to expand the marketing campaign. Where the second option would be to appoint and hire a lot of in-house teams that will be able to manage their marketing campaign or digital marketing campaign. However, the downside of it, the bigger the campaign that will be managed, you need to hire more and more people. And with the increase of the quantity of the staff that you have, that will put you in a very tight spot where there is no good standardizations about the campaign quality that is going to be run, because basically different people will have different skills, different traits, and different way of thinking, and therefore the outcome of the campaign itself will differ when it's being done by multiple persons. So what we do after realizing those potential problems and the situations that are happening on the market, we basically launched not only one platform, however, we also launched several platforms. So we started off with Cofera. Basically, it's marketing automation platform that focus on the paid channels, and basically Cofera is designed to cater towards the corporate and the enterprise segments, which already have the basic or advanced knowledge about digital marketing. So basically we are designing this platform to cater towards that market segments. We have AI and machine learning features that will enable our clients to choose to run the campaign based on the business objectives. So one of the approach that we use while developing this platform is we try to position ourselves in the shoes of our clients or as the business owners. So we ask ourselves, and basically we have a good brainstorming sessions with the developers. What do business people want when they select digital marketing as one of the marketing channels? Basically, they would want to see a good return on advertising spend. Basically, they would like to measure for X amount of money how much they will be able to get in return. So that is why we develop all of the algorithm that is specifically addressing the needs of those business people that would want to seek from the digital marketing campaign. So you can select based on the stages of your business, such as at the early stage, we offer awareness campaign which focus in bidding the keywords, for example, in high impressions keywords. However, we also have another options such as to increase the number of conversions. So we utilize and analyze the data that we have collected, and we will be focusing to bid on the keywords that will generate the highest number of conversions as possible, and all of that processes is being done automatically. Okay, enough of the first product. So the second product that we have developed is the Yellow Pages. I think a few of those attendees here understands the Yellow Pages, the yellow book that we always refer to. I still remember when I was a kid, I used the book to search for anyone's phone number and try to give them a prank. So we understand, as a starter point of view, Yellow Pages still have quite an enormous amount of number of small and medium-sized businesses. So we utilize those database, and basically we are serving those clients, and those clients are certainly enjoying the benefits of digital marketing automation. And the third platform is the platform where we have the partnership with Telkom Big Data. So we are able to send SMS marketing based on the call history that has a behavior targeting. For example, that if you would like to target those people who have called schools before, and we will be able to send out messages to those people who have called schools or even hospitals. So we have categorized more than 400 business categories, so it has a lot of variations for it. And last but not least, we are also developing Iklanku as a platform. Basically, it's a turnkey platform that is similar to Covera. Iklanku is specifically designed to cater towards the SME market. You can build the campaign from the start, and you can finish uploading the campaign and everything in just 6 steps. So it's a very simplified process. Basically, it has the same basic features as Covera, but we are basically simplifying all of the processes so you can run a campaign in just 6 steps. So as a problem-solving solutions, we have categorized each and every platforms that we have developed into each target segments. For SMEs, like I said, Iklanku is one of them, and Smart Promo is also applicable for SMEs because they can spend your marketing budget as little as 50,000 rupiah. It's very cheap. So we are developing these platforms basically to cater towards not only on the enterprise levels but also on the SMEs levels. And for the large enterprise, like I said, we are focusing on the Covera. So it has 3 main modules: ads automation, which we automate in ads building; smart optimization, we collect based on the historical data, and then we are able to provide with the predictive analysis and output on how to improvise the performance of your campaign. And last but not least, we're not going to be operating on a single channels. So right now we are operating on a Google search, Google Shopping, and very, very soon we will be launching Facebook. So you do not have to open multiple dashboards to manage multiple campaigns. You can just open up our dashboard and manage your campaign on multiple channels. So one of the reasons that we decided to go doing this business is because that we see the macroeconomics itself is favorable and leading towards us. Basically, over the past few years, we understand that there are more and more digital marketing budget that has been injected into the sector, and basically more and more businesses are putting their faith in digital marketing, and so far, by putting the faith in digital marketing works like magic, if I can say. And the second point is, we understand that more and more people are turning into AI as a tool to help them to become more productive. There are a lot of discussions that AI will replace humans and humans will no longer get jobs. However, the way that we see it, this platform or tool, this AI, will enable to help humans to be more productive. If those people that has the concern or fear that they will be replaced by humans, then you just have to learn to become somebody better. So people has to evolve, basically. And the third part, as we are in a stage where we are data-driven, we have to analyze with a lot of data. Therefore, you cannot just analyze the data using Microsoft Excel. You need like a more advanced tool to enable you to analyze the data, and Covera is the right one for you. And this is the supporting data that shows that the digital advertising spend growth has been growing tremendously. If you compare between our neighboring countries, basically we have the highest growth rate of digital advertising spend. And this data also shows that more and more people over the past few years are turning into AI that will be used as a tool to help them doing their job in the day-to-day work. So, finished? Okay.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Very insightful. So we have the final presentation. This is from Sonar. Go ahead.
Hello, good morning. My name is Amin, and I'm the CEO of Sonar Platform. So in a nutshell, Sonar is a social intelligence platform. So what we do is we analyze social media data across many channels, and we try to compile them into insightful insights to our subscribers. So today my topic is going to be very quick and be very specific. So I'm going to touch on the power of big data in influencer marketing. So first, a show of hands, who knows what an influencer is on social media? Anybody know what the okay, fine. So any business owners here who have used an influencer for any of their marketing programs? Cool, we have some, thank you. And my final question is anyone here from the fashion or beauty industry? Well, that's a shame. Okay. So just some quick facts to go through. Next, please. So some quick numbers. So now in the number of influencers and the number of marketers using influencers is really gaining steam. So according to eConsultancy, 60% of brands, especially in fashion and beauty brands, have used influencers during any time of their marketing periods. Next. And out of these, the main platform people use for influencers is Instagram. When you have been scrolling through your timeline, have you seen any of your friends of friends or your friend's wife or daughter promote something with the hashtag endorsement? So that's that means that they are definitely being paid to promote something on this channel. Next one. And also for any business owner, if you're not using any type of influencer marketing, now's the time, because studies have shown that, also asking a few of my friends in the agency, that actually the digital spend on influencer marketing has more or less matched the amount of spend on traditional digital, like CPC or Facebook ads or anything else. And they have proved to be more effective in driving conversion to sales. Next. So, the question here is, there are thousands and probably tens of thousands of people that proclaim they are actually influencers in this industry. So, what we've tried to build is another product for our platform, is helping brands and agencies choose the right influencers for their products. Now, the wrong choice of influencers can really cost you money. I have some friends that have spent 20 million, 30 million a post for one post on Instagram, and when measured with the conversion, they didn't get any of that back. So this is why it's important to know which influencer that you are choosing, and to know what they've promoted in the past, and also will they deliver for your brand. So next. So this is just one of our products that we have been developing. So just to go through quickly our 4 products. So basically we have products for deep social media listening. We also have a product for real-time industry-based trends. So if you're in banking, or if you're in finance, or if you're in beauty fashion, we can tell you what trends that are happening right now. So you can use that data to power your marketing or sales team, because if you talk to your customers within the right language, you will definitely get a strong response from them. We are also actively developing a tool for social customer service and also engagement. So this is today I'm going to focus on the influencer discovery and benchmarking product. Next. So basically, how it works is we use big data and automation to automatically discover trends and topics. So if there is a new hashtag out there today, if there is a new trend, what we do is we scan all the people that are actively talking about this. Then we, from that, we get a list of people, and then we can build profiles on them. So we can tell you what are the main influencers based on not only their followers, but also their engagement for each of these trends. So if your competitors are actively promoting something or using endorsers or running a digital campaign, our platform can tell you what kind of engagement they are getting, since most of social data is open. And if you are paying somebody to promote or are using your own account, your profile is definitely going to be open. So because the data is open, then it becomes available for us to track legally. So after we build a list of users, then we create a ranking score. And then we periodically update, these list of users to see what they're posting next. Are they getting more engagement? Is their engagement going up, or are they actually losing followers or losing engagement? So this is we have to track over time, because an influencer can be fine now, but they could lose steam in a couple of weeks or even a couple of days. So currently, we are actively profiling over 10,000 local influencers. This is very early stages. So what we're trying to build is profiles that we can also supply to brands and agencies on specific topics that that they want to promote. Next. So here's a sample of the anatomy of Instagram profile. So you see a beautiful woman there with a with a surfboard. So what we do is we scan all the publicly available content. Now I underline publicly because by law we can't access data that hasn't been shared by them personally. So usually publicly available data is usually a post and also the comments that have been posted. So here, just looking at the example, we can see that the main topics and main tags here are beach, surfing, recreation, holiday, the location, and also the gender. So just by scanning this post, we can also see what is the issues and topics within this post. But next, we can go even further. So this is where the cool stuff comes in. So actually, we can use, currently there is a methodology called deep learning, and we can scan what is actually in the image. So we can tell by scanning we can tell by scanning the image. We can tell, so our machine can tell that there is a woman in this picture. There's a sunset, there's a surfboard, and there's a beach, and there's also an ocean. So we can actually define the objects within the photo automatically. Now this helps because if we were to do this manually, it would take at least 30 seconds for a person to just write down in Excel all the objects on this photo. But using automated processes and AI, we can scan like 1,000 or even more of these like per second. So with the rise of influencers, with the rise of social media, we can do this quickly. So what we get from all this is we can build simple topics. Now, when we're talking about social media, topics is the most important thing, because a person can go from talking about topic A to topic B within the same post. As we see, obviously on Facebook, when we post something, the comments start out as topic A, and then as you scroll down the comments, they change topic, and the conversation changes. So this is what we're trying to do, is we're trying to build topics of each post, and then compile them and to strengthen the profile of each user that we scan. Next. So this is a sample of what kind of profile elements we can build from just a single post. So we have the basic metrics like their when they last post, their followers, their reach, their engagement, what kind of categories they are talking about, what are their followers' interests and the followers' gender. Now here the main metric we should be looking at is the followers' interest, because when we hire somebody to promote something, the most important thing is not what they're interested in, but what their followers are interested in, because basically the essence of this marketing is getting their followers to react to their post. So if they're promoting a product, you want their followers to click on their link or go to their store and then buy the product that this influencer is actually promoting. So this is something we focus on. So just imagine the amount of data if we have an influencer that has 5 million followers. That means we have to build profiles on 5 million people. We are not there yet, but that's what we're trying to achieve in the very near future with all this new technology coming about. Next. So, from all of that, for an agency or for a business person, the ultimate goal would be to build this kind of profiles. So what we're trying to do automatically is we're trying to match the interests of brands and companies with the topics and interests of the influencers and also their followers. So we feel that building this, we will be able to use big data and also AI to directly match these interests. As we see, Google has done that. With their AdWords, and we see Facebook also match. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to match these interests automatically and organically. So, yeah, I think that's it from me. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we move on into the panel talk. Would like to invite the speakers to come on board. Great. So this session, maybe we can go back to the image where the speaker's profile and the topic. So Mimau, maybe saya mau tanya di audience di sini, how many are you actually are using data on a day-to-day basis di sini? Maybe if we can get a hands up to see ada beberapa orang yang memakai data on day-to-day. Cuma satu orang, yang lainnya belum ada sama sekali. Okay, wow. So I guess we have to really explain the concept a bit deeper, ya. Gimana? Maybe we'll start first, I guess. Martin, why is it important for your company to utilize and organize data? What's for most of the people who are not using data? What is the importance of that?
Sure. So apart from what I've already mentioned in the presentation, is where this data is essential to the way we drive our business, right? That's the obvious answer. Yeah. Maybe to explain a little bit about the value of data in general. I think we have a business culture at our startup where we really try to be what we call data driven. So every single thing that we do is supported by data. Every decision that we make, we do that by diving into the data and actually finding evidence that supports this particular decision. And what might such a decision be? It could be, the next 5 people that we want to hire. Where do we need those people to be? What kind of background do we need these people to have? It could be a feature on the app. Maybe we want to introduce a live chat to our customer service or something like that. Well, before we make, it sounds like a good idea, but we don't actually know this before we dive into the data and see, is this actually a problem that we're facing? Can we provide evidence for that through past interactions with our customers? If yes, okay, then maybe this is a direction that we take.
I think a lot of people here really care a lot about how does this impact my bottom line, right? How does big data actually impact my bottom line? How does this impact my profitability and everything. Maybe you guys can explain a bit more on how this would translate to that. For anybody who wants to start, maybe go ahead.
Yeah, so as I mentioned in my slides, that in the context of digital marketing, especially influencers, and also I think in terms of digital marketing too, that since digital is so measurable, is you can actually predict, and you can also measure based on the numbers, because it's different than any other kind of marketing that everything is a guess, or like a creative guess. But in in digital, the tools are out there, the people that use the tools are out there. So I don't think there's any excuse not to use data anymore. It's cheap. I mean, it's very it actually depends on what kind of tools you use, but it's very cost effective, and the results actually trump the spend if you actually have people that will use it right.
Okay. Do you have any example of how it would reduce cost? I know you mentioned about like how they would optimize and increase your revenue essentially, right?
Yep.
How about on efficiency side?
Okay, so just example, if I said you're running an agency that hires influencers, the cost of hiring people that have to go through each profile one by one. As I said, one person takes like a minute or 30 seconds to actually define one profile. With this big data, you can go through thousands in 1-2 seconds. So
not only saving money but time as well.
Saving time, saving money, saving a lot of things. So I think that's the that's the most essential thing. Saving time and money with data is something that there's no excuse for anymore.
Okay. Any other
Well, basically, what we have encountered with the efficiencies and cost minimizations, which leads to profit maximization, is that with the tools that will be able to automate most of the processes, which translates to fewer and fewer employees that you will need to employ to handle a certain amount of work. With that having in mind, that means our OPEX on a monthly basis is not going to be as high, since we need to handle quite a huge or an enormous amount of data. And at the end of the day, we will also be able to increase the numbers on the bottom line, simply because with the data that we are able to analyze, we are also able to come up with a lot of strategies on how to improvise your business in many ways. So it doesn't have to be in specifically on the digital marketing campaign side. It could be some improvement on the platform. It could mean that on the payment systems could be improved. So at the end of the day, the bottom line of the company can be improved by using the data and the analysis that you have done.
Do you have to be digital to be using this? Because most of the people here probably are in traditional businesses, right? So how do you guys, as somebody in a digital player, help these guys, for example?
Okay. You don't have to be a digital business owners to utilize all of this data. What you have to do is basically understand the value of the data, and by understanding the value of the data, you will be able to infer the meaning that the data shows based on the operational side of the company, based on the marketing side of the company, based on the financial side of the company. And how we can help our clients is that we are able to save quite a lot of time in terms of the amount of work that should be done in running digital marketing campaign. And secondly, we are able to save a lot of money for our clients, since all of that optimization processes are being handled by the engine itself, and it is able to calculate and analyze through the AI, which enables to improve the conversions that you can experience, the revenue that you can earn. So at the end of the day, what we will be able to help with our clients is the increase in productivity and increase in the revenue and decrease in the cost.
And a lot of times also with traditional businesses, the way they collect data is also important for it to be useful. What would you oversee some of the challenges when a business that is more traditional, that has no experience in this data and collecting data, where would they start essentially when they want to get into this?
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge. I think first of all, it's about finding the right people who can help you in setting up this infrastructure. You know, there's a technology component here that needs to be invested in. There's a learning curve to to start working with this type of technology. You have to find the right people who are usually not residing within the organization, so you have to find someone from outside to help you with that. But there's much more to it. I think there's also a cultural shift, organizational cultural shift that has to take place where, okay, now we're actually going to embrace this technology and this data to improve our decision making. Previously, I used to work at Accenture, so I actually guided a lot of companies in this process towards digitalization. For instance, I worked with large utilities, large industrial conglomerates to integrate technology. And we always saw this, that even if we were able to bring in the technology, set it up for them, there's all this aftercare and actually bringing about change in the organization to accept this new change.
Maybe you can give some examples of some of the challenges. It could be interesting.
Sure. So, well, for example, I did in the Netherlands. I helped a large energy company in basically upgrading their infrastructure towards a digital network. So this was an electricity provider, and they have worked in the same way for over 200 years, very manual sort of infrastructure, and they now wanted to introduce basically computer systems into this network to measure how much people were consuming in their houses, sort of the load on the network in different nodes on the infrastructure. And so it took 2 years to sort of set this up. But even after that, we found so much resistance on this traditional engineering team that had maintained these very old sort of legacy systems for decades in accepting this. And not just like they wouldn't trust some of the data that came in. It was very sort of confronting, suddenly showing information that they had never seen before, and exposing limitations and mistakes that had been made, for instance. It was also scary for a lot of the people in the organization because they were afraid, okay, now I'm going to lose my job because there's a computer that does everything 10 times faster than I can at a fraction of the cost. So what is my job going to be in this? Particularly in these type of organizations where sort of the median age of the typical employee was around 40 to 50. They don't have the opportunity to learn these new types of technologies anymore. So how do you get them involved? I think that's all very, very challenging.
That's an interesting point. I mean, like, for people who are not business owners here, why would they want to improve the situation? Because it's gonna also mean that they might lose their job, right? What would be your counter argument to that?
Well, I think business is all about change, right? There's really no one. If you reach a position where you can stay the same for years, well, good for you, lucky you. But I think everyone in a business, as a business owner, you always have to think about innovation. How am I, going to improve things? I have to keep improving, and it's just inevitable, honestly, because I think the surge of technology and data and the potential, the low cost, the high information, and the value that you get from it. Everyone is going to embrace this at some point, and if you don't do it, then your competition will.
And your company does.
Yeah,
like in the slides.
Precisely.
In the end, you lose jobs anyway. It's just a matter of like how long it takes. Slow, painful death, or a quick one, right? Or thriving, of course. So you guys mentioned earlier as well about like internal capability, potential of building that up, right? Like, what are some of the challenges that you see? I mean, you guys as a consultant as well, like Cofera as well, you help the client initially, but how do you help them build their internal capability?
So there are a few things that we help our clients. Not only that we provide the platform to increase the productivity, increase in terms of the revenue itself, but like Martin has said, in order for any type of business, it has to have an innovation for the business itself. So one issue that we first encountered when we first launched our product is that there are a lot of people that find our platform quite resistant. One reason or another, they started to realize that sooner or later, exactly what Martin has said again, if you don't implement this technological innovation, sooner or later your competitor will, and it's not going to stop us in approaching your competitor as well in providing these kind of solutions. So basically, the challenge that they are fearing the most is the change of their day-to-day work, because that is all about the change that we are offering. You do not have to clock in long hours just to maintain a campaign. You do not have to analyze terabytes of data. We do offer that kind of things, but the analysts started to have fears, and the digital marketers started to have fears that they will lose their jobs. However, the kind of approach that we do here is that we still need you as a human to clock in and put in the logic and become the navigator of the company that you are working at. So the educating part, that technological innovation does not necessarily means it's gonna do a lot of bad things to you. However, what we're gonna do is we're gonna help you thrive doing your day-to-day jobs without without the possibilities of overworking and putting long hours to work. So
essentially, human assisted.
Yes, human assisted process. So that is the approach that we have taken, and that is the values that we are able to embrace towards our target clients.
Okay. And do you have any comments?
Yeah, I would like to also stress the point that now we see, lots of scary headlines that AI is going to make humans and jobs obsolete. I think at least that won't happen for another couple thousand years, yeah. Because actually humans are also a product of thousands and millions of years of evolution. So we should always look at data, AI, and all that kind of stuff as an augment to human processes. We should see technology, especially AI, as a process that can help humans, accomplish their day-to-day tasks quicker and more efficiently. And for people that do not want to change, then have to learn something new. Uber made taxi drivers have to compete more, have to provide better services. And I think as long as we can stay on the positive side of it, without referring to movies like Terminator, take over the world. But it's always useful to have a positive outlook and see this as an augment to human processes and human thinking.
If you can't beat them, you join them.
Exactly. Or work with them closely.
Or you build them, right? Yeah. So I mean, like talking back about talent, right? Those are some of the areas that these guys eventually, once they understand about how the importance of data and utilizing it, and potentially setting it up initially, for instance, with consultants like you guys, they would need to build their internal capability. But again, like as I mentioned earlier, it's pretty difficult to obtain this talent, right? So, in your opinion, what do you think you have to do to attract this kind of talent to work for you?
Okay, well, I'll just go very quickly. Well, as cliche as it may sound, vision is always the attractor for talent. If a leader can display that they have a vision or a certain goal they want to achieve, and that fits to people that also want to achieve the same goal, then getting on the same ship shouldn't be a problem. But just touching on your previous question, I think now what we do is, and also think that our friends here do also is is we live in a world where there's a service for everything. There's an app for everything. There is an SAS for, you know, like for everything. Sending email, hiring people. There's an app for everything. So what I would recommend is you know, finding the person with that specific talent is hard. So what we usually do is we find people that closely match that talent, and then we start out with hiring a service that actually provides that service. Then we initiate some kind of intelligence transfer between these two. Because, you know, if we do hire, if we do purchase a service like Offer or also Sonaroso, there's also an onboarding process. There is also a hand-holding process. Now, if we can put our people inside that process initially, they can learn from that. And they can, you know, which isn't good for us because they will leave our service. But that's why also, as a service provider, we also have to keep enhancing and also upgrading our service. So when our clients become smart, then we have something else also to offer them. You know, so I think that's what's reflected.
Right.
Yeah. Basically, in terms of the hiring process, just to add what Amin has said, we highly values our visions on what we want to make Coursera, not only for 1 year ahead, 2 years ahead, but we have the ideas of what we want to become for 5 years ahead. With that long-term visions that we have between the founders, we are basically conveying or transferring that visions towards the potential candidates that we would like to employ. And basically what we do is we transfer our visions and we challenge them. Challenge in a way that this is what we want to be, and right now this is where we at, and we cannot just do this by ourselves. We need some highly motivated people that will enable us to achieve the vision that we have, not only for 1 year ahead, but for the 5 years ahead. So with that kind of approach, we are capable in hiring quite a good potential of employees that join the team, and those team that join and become part of our family has shown traits where they will try it at their very best in order to help us to achieve the vision that we have been conveying to them, so that we are in this boat together. And lastly, if you have the vision to show that the kind of products that we all will be developing is one-of-a-kind products and a unique products, they will be more than willing to punch in long hours of work without complaining here and there. And at the end of the day, we are able to establish the opportunity to make the product together.
Thank you. Martin, question for you is, how would you provide an advice for the future companies, talents to stay ahead of automation? What kind of skills do they need to prepare for this? Maybe you can comment on those.
Yeah, sure. Well, disclaimer: all of us here are sort of in this tech industry already, so we have, maybe sort of elevated expectations, and maybe some of the things that we talk about here may not resonate as well with traditional businesses. So I think really keeping in mind that that maybe the majority of the people here drive businesses that are not technology focused or data focused. It's really about building up that capability from the ground up, right? And I think it all starts with someone in the leadership deciding that this is a good idea. So first, I hope that maybe in a session like this you can see that there may be some potential value of exploring technology and data. And I think that's key, because the next step would be to empower someone with exploring that. And this has to be someone potentially new who brings in this type of capabilities to the company. But at the same time, it needs to be someone who can relate to what it is that you do already. And the two need to be aligned. Because doing all of this fancy big data stuff and technology, is one thing, but it only makes sense if it actually delivers business value. So it's all about starting with how do you want to maximize your business value, and how can technology and data play a role in doing that?
Back to the bottom line.
Exactly. Now, finding that person, that one individual who both understands your business and all the technologies, is going to be very, very difficult to do. So ideally, you can always start with bringing in a consultant who gets to know your business a little bit and then give some advice, but that ends very quickly. I think if this is something you really want to invest in for the future, you need to get your own people on board and maybe educate them.
That's where we come in, algorithm.
Well, I'm
Sorry, a bit
making a bridge here. I was going to do it for you, but it's true though. I think there's a lot of excellent programs out there right now here in Jakarta, Algorithm being one of them for sure. You can engage with them and they can help you in sort of planning out how you're going to build up this capability now and in the future. And sort of you go from there. It's your own process. I think that's very important to realize. Someone else external, even if it's an expert in data and technology, may not be a good fit for you in particular because it's so important to align it to your own business side.
Thank you very much. Good comment. Last question, guys, is how do you guys see the Indonesian landscape and economy change due to data in the next 5 years, let's say? Do you have any vision on that?
That is, I think, a very tricky question. I think 5 years ago, no one knew where we would be now. Honestly, I'm looking back first of all.
Look back.
Yeah.
I think 3-4 years ago, I think we've changed a lot in this country, right? So
Absolutely.
How do you see the next 5 years? Let's say 2020.
Well, I think we have the interesting thing about Indonesia is that we have such a young, sort of tech-savvy population that embraces technology and everything. And if we break down, for instance, the amount of users on Twitter or Facebook or social media, Indonesia is sort of top 5 in probably all of them in terms of usage. And all of these people are going to, maybe these are young millennials now, just recently graduated school or in school or just started to work. Well, in 5 years from now, they are, they've going to build up some working experience, started their own businesses, and now they are in, decision-making positions where they will be much more keen to utilize this type of technology. At the same time, we have 3 unicorns in Indonesia right now. So unicorn, a tech giant with over $1 billion of investment. I mean, that's got to rub off, and that's we see with these companies now building up sort of educational facilities, training centers.
The government starting 2 more unicorns by 2019.
Well, good point. I think the government is also very supportive of this sector, and probably will continue to be so. So I wouldn't be surprised if Indonesia in the next 5 years is it's going to be a technology giant in Asia. And therefore in the world, because everything is happening in Asia right now.
Right. And that has a big impact on traditional companies, essentially. When all this digital businesses thrive in Indonesia, it will definitely impact their traditional businesses. Any other last comments, guys?
Just touch on the millennial sector. We see now kids now are counting followers, they are counting engagements. So even my son, now he is aware of what YouTube video to watch because this YouTube video has more views than another one. And my son is 9 years old. So the young kids now are start to look at simple metrics like views and engagement. So that's something very different than the last 5 or 10 years. The simplest forms of data now are getting much attention from the smallest of people now. So I think that has to mean something also for big businesses that are still trying to avoid data-driven decisions. So yeah, I think 5 years from now, I think I hope there will be a total transformation on normal companies, non-digital companies will start to use data to power their marketing and sales programs.
Yeah, hopefully also more women in tech, because as you can see, it's all dudes there. Yep, it's pretty dry, guys. Okay, well that ends the session. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll just open it to the public for question and answer.
You. My name is William. I want to know how we can evaluate big data. Big data can do a lot of things. We can access the right customer, we find the right habit of people. But how can we really evaluate it? A lot of very expensive company valued by their data, and their income or even their sales is so far than their value. I wonder how investors evaluate this kind of data. Thank you.
Are you talking about the valuation or valuation? Yeah. Basically, if you have an enormous amount of data, there are a lot of metrics that you can use to put a price tag on it. For example, it all depends on the use case of the big data that you own. It doesn't mean that if you have a lot of data, it will make your company to become a unicorn. It doesn't work like that. The way I see it, if we have an enormous amount of big data within our company, the most important thing that investors are looking for that is that what is the use case of the big data? That means that we need to be able to restructure the big data that we have so that from the big data that you own, you will be able to transform it into something meaningful. It can be, for example, user behavior. It could be like customer behavior. It could be a predictive analysis on what's going to happen next if you provide this kind of promotion to a specific group of customers. Basically, the investors will value a lot of tangible values on the big data if you can put a good use case to it.
I 100% agree with that. I think there's a lot of buzzwords going around. There's a lot of hype going around these type of terminologies, particularly big data. I think the title of this session was "The Power of Big Data." Yes, there is a lot of power that can be gained from this, but I don't think that big data in itself should be a goal. It's not about collecting as much as possible. It's there's a saying. It's not with regards to big data, it's not the size that matters. It's what you do with it. Even if you have small data, on your company, that can actually be extremely valuable. But it's all about the use case, or how are you going to transform the information that you get from this into business value, into actual decisions, and how does that change your business? That's where the value comes in.
Thank you. My name is Ravindra. And I've heard the saying from Alan Frost, the previous industrial revolution was built on steel. The next industrial revolution will be built on data. So my question is, how do I prepare the youth of today so that they are relevant to the work opportunities of tomorrow? Thank you.
Yeah, the youth should just go to Algorithm and we'll train them there. Problem solved.
Okay, once I have a kid, I will send them to Yuri.
Awesome. No, I mean, to take your question seriously, like I think it starts really early actually. Indonesia, I think it really is important. Education is so important. Like if you compare us to Vietnam, why are we behind Vietnam, a country that is our neighbor, but they have so many computer engineers, UX designers, data scientists, and actually there's more data scientists in Philippines than in Indonesia. So it's like amazing like how education at an early age, up to high school, up to university, it really builds up a lot of these effect right in the future. Builds up a lot, opens a lot of the opportunities. Right now the opportunity of these data scientists and so forth are open to foreigners who have the skills, and it's expensive, right? But you don't have it's not the fault of them coming in to fill up that gap. It's the fault of ourselves as a society not actually investing enough money and time and effort into education. So our kids are our future, and if we are not investing that much time into them and effort into revolutionizing the way they think, we're always going to stay behind other countries. I mean, right now is the era of knowledge and transfer of knowledge and everything, right? So like it's borderless. Right now we're very much like restricting like imports and export and everything, but we shouldn't be restricting immigration, because that's the way that knowledge are transferred by people talking to other people, right? And if you're talking about like maybe, oh, why don't you just learn from online? It's different. Like the way you interact with people. That's why I did algorithms, and it's not online. It's because when you want to learn something, especially in Indonesia, people like to ask questions. People like to interact and want to find out the answer to the question a lot faster and right away. I mean, that's the thing. I'm sorry, time's up. So
Great, time is up. Thank you.
Yep.
Let's
Thank
give
you, guys.
applause. So speaker, please stand up and stay. Mr. Sandra will give you the certificate of appreciation.